From the presidential palace in Caracas to a notorious New York prison, Nicolás Maduro remains in custody after his capture by the United States.
This was not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest operation. This was a law enforcement operation.
Donald Trump's Secretary of State walking back the president's claim that the US is now running Venezuela. But within hours, his boss again suggested otherwise.
Don't ask me who's in charge because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
Donald Trump has threatened a second strike against Venezuela if interim President Delcy Rodriguez does not comply with US demands. Her defense minister denouncing the attack as imperial aggression.
The world should be on their guard because this poses a serious threat to the global order. If today it was against Venezuela, tomorrow it could be against any state or any country.
Democrats in the United States accusing Donald Trump of acting illegally.
When America tries to do regime change and nation building in this way, the American people pay the price in both blood and in dollars.
President Maduro was led into this detention centre after being spirited out of Venezuela by the US military. Now he and his wife will face court in Manhattan, where they face narco-terrorism, weapons and drug trafficking charges. Protesters outside the prison are calling on the US to stop meddling in Latin America.
The US government is making all these lies against the president because all that they want is the largest oil reserve in the planet.
But Mr. Maduro's capture is being celebrated by the Venezuelan diaspora in Florida.
We think that we have gotten an important first step toward this transition to democracy.
And an emboldened Donald Trump is hinting he might not stop in Venezuela, escalating his rhetoric on Cuba, Colombia and Greenland.
We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic.
The president's language taking on new meaning after his drastic action in Venezuela. Rachel Clayton, ABC News, New York City.
Bullet holes, debris, homes destroyed. Daylight revealing the destruction from the US military operation and the shock from those who call this city home.
Now my children are left displaced. Every day since that day, they cry and cry. My mother-in-law cries and cries. My kids say, "Dad, I lost my home. Why? Why?"
And less than 48 hours after striking Venezuela, US President Donald Trump has warned Colombia could be next.
Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
So there will be an operation by the US
It sounds good to me, yeah.
But in the face of the threat, Colombia's president remained defiant, calling on Latin America to unite or risk being treated as a servant and slave. The strikes on neighbouring Venezuela has Colombia on heightened alert, building up its forces along the border. The US operation to capture Maduro had been in the making for months and just needed the right conditions for the go-ahead. Trump finally gave that order at 11:46 p.m. local time on Friday. Around 150 aircraft were involved, including Special Forces helicopters and fighter jets. At 1:55 a.m, the mission started, with Venezuelans waking up to loud explosions from airstrikes on military targets, including air defence. Just 6 minutes later, at 2:01 a.m, Special Forces helicopters had dropped on Maduro's fortified compound under heavy fire. One helicopter was hit, but still able to fly. A firefight ensued, with US forces capturing Maduro moments before he made his way to a reinforced safe room. President Trump watched it all live from his Florida mansion. By 3:20 a.m, it was all over. Maduro and his wife were captured and flown to the US Navy ship USS Iwo Jima, where this photo was taken before being flown to New York. The number of casualties in Venezuela is still unclear. The US says none of its soldiers were killed during the operation, while Venezuela says many of Maduro's personal guards died in the attack. Among them, 32 members of Cuba's military and intelligence services. Donald Trump now claims that Cuba looks like it could fall, and he's threatened Colombia too, leaving leaders here on edge about whether America's military might will arrive in their country next. Cayman Gok, ABC News, Bogota, Colombia.
Venezuela, Colombia, Cuba, Denmark. The scope of Donald Trump's ambitions for control across the Americas appears to have expanded dramatically in the past 24 hours. Even as the world tries to work out what is unfolding in Venezuela, the US president has been listing other countries that should fall under American control. The US National Security Strategy released last month drew headlines for its warning that Western Europe faces what it called civilizational erasure, but at its core was a blunt assertion of US dominance over the Western Hemisphere. It says the United States must be preeminent in the Americas to protect its security and prosperity, with guaranteed access to strategic assets and supply chains. Trump's unorthodox methods may have obscured the fact that this strategy is already being implemented. A $20 billion loan to friendly Argentina, punitive tariffs on Brazil's left-wing government. But there are consequences. Brazil has moved closer to China, precisely the kind of influence in the Americas Trump says he wants to prevent.